There are precisely 7 statements that will make a narcissist step back from you as if you have just presented a spiritual symbol to a dark entity. The great power of these statements is not that they are mean or hurtful, but rather because they are true. Narcissists, more than anything else, are deeply afraid of the truth. Let us be completely open about this fact. Most people fail, and fail horribly, when they try to confront a narcissist. Why is that? Because they willingly enter a conflict zone of the narcissist's choosing, equipped with methods that are not only ineffective, but actually strengthen the opponent. You bring your feelings, your sense of justice, and your wish for peace and understanding to the narcissist. These qualities are not tools for closeness, they are weaknesses to be exploited. You are essentially attempting to have a reasonable conversation with a massive, raging storm. It is a useless mission. The core mistake is simple. You think you are in a friendly discussion when, in reality, you are in a psychological war. The narcissist builds an altered world, a twisted version of reality where they are the heroic, wronged center of the universe, and you are the defective, foolish, and constantly obligated supporting character. Every emotional burst you have, your frustration, your sorrow, your desperate pleas, is you agreeing to use their map. You are confirming their warped reality by staying within its boundaries, and on that territory, they will always be victorious. The monumental shift in power happens the moment you stop reacting and start responding. An emotional reaction is a sudden, uncontrolled release of energy. It is the sudden jerk, the scream, the burst. A strategic response, on the other hand, is a quiet, thoughtful act of determination. It is the conscious choice to toss their map into the fire and to stand on the foundation of what you know is real. This is where language becomes your most effective tool. Not a heavy object to strike them with, but the materials to construct a structure of reality so firm that their delusions simply cannot break it. To understand why this works, you need to look closer. You must grasp what truly powers the engine of narcissism. What is a narcissist genuinely scared of beneath the grand displays and the self-praising speeches? It is not your anger. It is not your logic. It is simply being exposed. Their entire personality is a defense built, piece by agonizing piece, around a core of deep inadequacy and shame. It is a grand, sparkling fortress constructed to conceal a frightened, hurt inner self. This is not a justification for their actions at all. It is a key observation for your strategy. Their greatest fear is that someone will notice the flaws in the fortress wall, that someone will catch a glimpse of the pitiful reality they are trying so hard to hide. They live in constant fear of being truly seen. This is why certain words spoken with clarity and without hostility act as psychological triggers. These words do not attack the fortress. They simply light it up. They hold up a mirror, and in that mirror, the narcissist is forced to see not the godlike image they have of themselves, but the faint outline of the fraud they are terrified they might be. This is the deepest form of the psychology of shame. They are not scared that you will harm them. They are afraid that you will see them for what they are, and that this seeing itself will destroy the illusion they depend on for their very existence. I want you to really consider this for a moment. Take a pause and think. Have you ever said something to a difficult person that made them instantly back off and you could not quite figure out why it worked? Maybe you were just weary. Perhaps you ran out of energy to argue and you said something simple and direct and suddenly the chaos stopped. There is a method to this, a profound psychological truth. I want you to think about your own times this happened. As we explore this further, what exactly did you say? What was your tone? And what was the outcome? You may have found this principle without even being aware of it. This leads us to the structure of verbal boundaries. Let us be absolutely clear. Setting a boundary with language is not an act of aggression. Aggression is an attempt to control or hurt another person. Assertive truth-telling, which is what we are discussing, is an act of self-control. It is the refusal to let someone else determine your reality. Imagine it like a line marking property. Aggression is entering your neighbor's space, but setting a boundary is simply standing on your own ground and stating calmly and firmly that they are not allowed to cross this line. The statements themselves, which we will get to, are only one part of the solution. Your tone and delivery are what give them their strength. A boundary yelled in anger is not a boundary. It is an invitation to a fight. It signals that you are still operating on the territory of emotion, and the narcissist will gladly join you there. But a boundary stated with the calm, steady finality of a mathematical fact, that is something their mind cannot easily deal with. It is like attempting to divide by zero. It breaks the established rules of the interaction. Your quiet confidence becomes a mirror reflecting their chaos, and it is a sight they cannot endure. So what happens when you learn to do this? What is the profound transformation waiting for you beyond this fear? It is not just about managing a difficult relationship. It is about a fundamental change in your own person. The respect you will start to receive from others, and most importantly from the narcissist, is not something they choose to give you. It is something that naturally appears as a result of your own self-respect. You stop being a piece in their game because you have chosen to stop playing. You begin the process of moving from being a character in their story to becoming the author of your own, and that truly is where genuine strength lies. Here is a thought that might make you feel uneasy. Narcissists do not disrespect you because you are feeble. They disrespect you because they sense you possess something they desperately want but can never truly hold. Authentic self-worth petrifies them. The selection of a target by a narcissist is not a random act of cruelty. It is a calculated hunting strategy, an instinct honed over a lifetime of seeking what they lack. Picture a pack of predators. They do not just attack any animal in the group. They observe, they test, and they look for a specific combination of traits. Contrary to what you might assume, they are not typically drawn to the weakest members. They are often drawn to the strongest, to the ones with the most life force, because that is where the greatest reward lies. So what qualities make you so powerfully appealing to a manipulator? First and foremost, your empathy, your capacity to feel, to understand, and to give the benefit of the doubt. This is a foreign language to the narcissist, but one they know how to exploit. They view your empathy not as a strength, but as an unlocked entry point. Your competence is another signal. You excel at what you do. You have abilities. You have discipline. You achieve results. This competence is a resource they wish to take over and claim as their own. It supports their illusion of great importance. And finally, your integrity, your basic decency, your commitment to truth, and your desire to do the right thing. This is perhaps the most powerful attraction of all, because you are honest. You assume others are too because you are conscientious, and you cannot easily imagine someone who acts without a conscience. Your strength, surprisingly, becomes your weakness. This is the terrible twist of the predator relationship. The very light you possess is what draws the darkness to you. The narcissist sees your integrated self, your genuine capacity for caring and achievement, and it is both a source of deep envy and a target for destruction. They want to consume it, and failing that, to destroy it so that its existence no longer reminds them of their own empty core. Once a target is chosen, the testing begins. And you must understand, these are not obvious attacks, not initially. They are subtle probes, psychological tests designed to gauge your defenses. It might be a minor backhanded compliment. It might be a commitment that is quickly forgotten. It might be a joke made at your expense that is just sharp enough to hurt, but delivered lightly enough that if you object, you are the one deemed to have no sense of humor. Each of these is a small experiment. The narcissist is asking a silent question. Will you put up with this? Can I get away with this? Your reaction, or lack of one, is the data they collect. If you laugh it off, if you invent excuses for them, or if you let it go for the sake of keeping the peace, you have just given them all the information they need. You have shown them the roadmap to your boundaries, and based on that data, they increase the violation. The forgotten promise becomes a broken agreement. The sarcastic joke becomes a humiliating insult in front of other people. It is a step-by-step, gradual violation of your personal space. This is the crucial distinction between normal human disagreements and the calculated disrespect of a narcissist. In a healthy relationship, conflict arises and is resolved. It is a mutual process. With a narcissist, it is not a conflict. It is a campaign. It is a systematic erosion of your standards, one small act of disrespect at a time, until you find yourself standing on ground you swore you would never give up. Now that we have established how they hunt and why they target the people they target, it is time to shift our focus toward the power of your own voice. You need to stop viewing yourself as a victim of their environment and start seeing yourself as the keeper of your own environment. If you want to stop the cycle of victimization, you have to be willing to be uncomfortable in the short term for the sake of your freedom in the long term. When you decide to deploy these 7 specific statements, you are not engaging in a debate. You are defining the boundaries of your reality. You are standing in your power. And because you are doing this from a place of truth, the narcissist will have no leverage against you. They will try to pull you back into the mud of their emotional games, but you must remain standing on firm ground. Remember, you do not need to explain yourself. You do not need to defend yourself. And you certainly do not need to apologize for holding the truth. The statements themselves carry their own weight. They are designed to act as a shield and a mirror simultaneously. They protect you from their manipulative influence, and they reflect back the emptiness they are trying to project onto you. Consider the first statement you might use when you are being gaslighted or told that your perceptions are wrong. You can simply say, "I know what I saw, and I trust my memory." This is not an opening to an argument. It is a declaration of your reality. When you say this calmly, without raising your voice, you are essentially telling them that their version of history is irrelevant to your experience. You are not asking them to agree with you. You are stating that their disagreement changes absolutely nothing about what you know to be true. The second statement is for when you are being criticized or insulted in the guise of humor or constructive advice. You can say, "That is your opinion, but I do not see it that way." Again, you are asserting that their opinion does not hold the power of objective truth. It allows you to step away from the need to please them or to win their approval. It signals that their validation is not a requirement for your self-esteem. The third statement is for when they attempt to guilt trip you or make you feel responsible for their emotional state or their poor choices. You can say, "I am not responsible for your actions or how you feel about them." This is the hardest one for most people to say, because empathy often makes us want to fix other people's problems. But by saying this, you are drawing a clear line between your life and theirs. You are refusing to carry their baggage, and that is a boundary they absolutely cannot cross. This increase in negative behavior is what I call the disrespect cycle, and it is a form of psychological manipulation as damaging as any ever conceived. It starts with a small offense. You feel a twinge of irritation, a sense of unfairness, but you ignore it. Why? Because you are a good person. You do not want to create a scene over something so minor. That small violation, once accepted, becomes the new minimum standard for the relationship. The next violation will be a little larger, and the one after that larger still. The narcissist needs you to accept this rising pattern of poor treatment because it serves a vital purpose. It constantly confirms their warped reality. In their world, they are entitled to special treatment, and your acceptance of their disrespect is your silent agreement. You are being trained, step by step, to accept what is unacceptable. Each time you fail to hold the line moves. What is truly unsettling is how quickly a person can adjust. The human mind is designed for adaptation, but that feature can be used against us. Disrespect, when it is constant and gradual, can begin to feel normal. The state of being on edge, of walking carefully, and of constantly trying to manage their moods becomes your new normal. You forget what it felt like to be treated with simple, basic decency. The abnormal has been normalized. So why do good, caring, conscientious people so often struggle to even recognize this process as it is happening? The main reason is that your internal response patterns are working against you. Your natural desire for harmony, for smoothing things out, and for seeing the best in people is a disadvantage in this scenario. You project your own decency onto them. You think they cannot possibly mean it that way, or that they are just having a rough day. You engage in a form of self-deception because the idea that this person is deliberately and systematically disrespecting you is a thought too terrible to consider. This leads to a profound and weakening self-doubt. You start to question your own view of things. Am I being too sensitive? Am I overreacting? This is the narcissist's most effective trick to convince you that the problem is not their behavior, but your reaction to it. You become an unreliable narrator in the story of your own life. But there comes a point, a breaking point. It might be a disrespect so clear, so undeniable, that it shatters the confusion of self-doubt. It is the moment when the combined weight of all the small violations becomes too much to bear. It is a moment of frightening clarity when you see the pattern for what it is and you realize with a certainty that chills you that something fundamental must change. And that change begins not with them, but with you. What I am about to share with you are not insults or attacks. These are precise tools of truth. When you use these statements, you are not trying to hurt them. You are establishing reality. And for a narcissist, reality is the most dangerous weapon of all. The first statement is, I see what you are doing. There is perhaps no phrase more terrifying to a manipulator than this one. Why? Because their entire way of operating depends on the ability to deny their true intentions. They thrive in the confusion of ambiguity, the subtle hostile comment, the slight put-down, and the innocent question meant to create insecurity. These are their methods precisely because they can retreat from them. They can claim you misunderstood or that you are too sensitive. The statement, I see what you are doing, cuts through that fog like a powerful light. It is a declaration that you are not fooled. You are not a piece in their game. You are a conscious observer of it. You are pulling back the curtain and revealing the pathetic little person operating the controls. This phrase requires no explanation. You do not need to detail what you see. The power is in the ambiguity of your awareness. It communicates that the game is over, that I know your moves. In that moment, the power balance shifts permanently. You have taken away their main weapon, the disguise of pretended innocence. They are exposed, and exposure is a narcissist's deepest fear. The second statement is, that is not my responsibility. The narcissist is a master of delegating responsibility. Their failures, their bad moods, and their chaotic lives are never their fault. They are a consequence of your failings, your lack of support, or your inability to foresee their needs. They hand you the heavy burden of their own emotional and practical problems and expect you to carry it. When you say, that is not my responsibility, you are handing that burden right back. It is a radical act of boundary setting. It draws a clear and distinct line around your own personal authority. It states that you will be responsible for your own actions and emotions, and they must be responsible for theirs. This will feel strange at first, especially if you are a caring and conscientious person. You are naturally inclined to help, but you must learn the crucial difference between helping someone and enabling them. Carrying their emotional burdens for them is not helping. It is enabling their problem. When you refuse to take responsibility for their issues, you are not being unkind. You are forcing them, perhaps for the very first time, to face the results of their own choices. It is a freedom for both you and, in a strange and difficult way, for them. The third statement is, I will not be spoken to that way. This is not a request. It is a rule. It is the establishment of a fundamental standard for respectful communication. Narcissists systematically lower your standards of treatment through increasing disrespect. They test you with small insults, and when you tolerate them, they escalate. This phrase stops that process immediately. It is vital that this is delivered with calm finality, not with anger. Anger says you have hurt me, but calm finality says that is a line you will not cross. There is a world of difference. One invites a fight, the other ends a violation. This is not a threat. A threat is saying that if you speak to me that way, I will do something. A boundary is simply a statement of what you will and will not accept. I will not be spoken to that way requires no further justification. It is a fundamental declaration of self-worth. It says I am a person who deserves basic respect, and that is the admission price for interacting with me. The fourth statement is, your feelings about this are not my problem. Narcissists turn their emotions into weapons. Their rage, their tears, their sulking, and their dramatic displays of victimhood are not genuine expressions of feeling. They are manipulative strategies designed to control your behavior. They want you to rush around trying to manage their emotional state, to satisfy their anger, or to comfort their manufactured hurt. They make you believe that their emotional stability is your duty. This phrase cuts that manipulative connection. It is a profound declaration of emotional independence. It says you are a capable adult and you are solely responsible for your own emotional reactions. This will feel incredibly harsh because decent people feel a responsibility to the emotions of others. But you must understand you are not responsible for regulating the feelings of another adult. By refusing to participate in their emotional drama, you are returning self-determination to them. You are forcing them to sit with their own feelings instead of using them as a tool to control you. It is a powerful, game-changing statement that breaks down one of their most effective control methods. The fifth statement is, I do not need to justify myself to you. Have you ever found yourself in a never-ending argument with a narcissist? They trap you into endlessly explaining and defending your decisions, your feelings, and your very existence. This is a deliberate trap. They act as the prosecutor, and you are placed on the witness stand. They demand that you explain yourself. And the more you explain, the more ammunition you give them to twist your words and find new ways to attack. It is a game you can never win. Over-explaining is a position of weakness. It signals that you believe their approval is necessary for your decisions to be valid. The phrase, I do not need to justify myself to you, is your refusal to take the stand. It communicates that you are the ultimate authority in your own life. Your decisions are yours. Your reasons are yours. You do not require their validation or their permission. Standing in the quiet confidence of your own choices without the desperate need for their endorsement is an incredibly powerful position. The sixth statement is, this conversation is over. This is the emergency escape. It is the tool you use when a discussion has become a confusing, circular, and exhausting speech designed to dominate and confuse you, not to communicate. You are not required to participate in a conversation that is going nowhere. You are not obligated to be an audience for their twisted logic and manipulation. Stating that this conversation is over and then physically removing yourself by walking out of the room or ending the call is the ultimate proof of a verbal boundary. It demonstrates that your time and mental energy are valuable resources that you will not waste on pointless, harmful interactions. It shows through action that you mean what you say.